Alrighty, boys, we're back. Welcome back to the Monday Magnets. We're here for a round review and a chat of a week of footy that was very interrupted through a couple of our responsibilities. I'm here with two of my great mates. Will Taylor, how are you, brother?
Yeah, fresh off worst on ground performance.
Have a look at this.
Brought in the medal itself, signed by Mitch Robinson. So he was just signing everything. So he signed me medal on the way out. So thanks, Robbo.
Another one of my great mates. There, we got the unengraved medals. Dossie Mac, McDonald.
McCabe.
How are you, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. Up and about. The round's not over yet. The D's play today, so I'm very excited. I cannot wait
Thank
for that.
God we don't have a debrief today.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a little preview brief.
Oh, great.
Because they play in a massive game
A
today.
Preman.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited for that. But no, good to be here.
Guys, this week interrupted again. It feels like we're saying this every week, but we've been down to Adelaide, as you would have known. We're playing in the biggest game of Div 12 Ressies. We've already played it down at Norwood Oval. So it's been a huge week of prep, huge weekend of activities and fun. But we had to get the red eye back to Melbourne so we could record the Monday Magnets. And how'd we go, boys? Tails, obviously you've copped the worst on ground medallion.
Before we get started into breaking down the whole
Get
game,
into the weeds.
into the I's and the T's, I think it's credits given where credit's due, and a big shout out to Checkers and the Nightmare for making it possible
Bloody
to
oath, yeah.
get down to Norwood, where not only is high level football played every week, AFL football is played there during gather round. So to be able to run out on the same ground that Marcus Bontempelli and Luba have, it's pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
But it was it's a fun weekend to say the least, Dossie. We had an absolute ball.
If you don't want to hear the Div 12 Ressies chat, I'll chuck a time code up on the screen so you can skip through to the round review. But boys, so much fun. Unfortunately, the weather did not turn on for us down at Norwood.
Oh, the third quarter wasn't the best of weather.
It was hailing, Will.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cold. It was nice footy weather.
I reckon it was 2 minutes off getting cold.
Yeah, I felt like even less. It felt when that hail came down in the third, it felt like and this is going to be a contradiction, but it felt like a hot day where the wind's really bad and sand hits you. The hail was
Hurting.
tearing up
Yeah.
my legs. I had the helmet on at the time, so the head was fine.
So
But
it was fine. It was protected.
I was copping it into the eyes.
I was just out there nude and just copping on the head.
When the hail came, I stopped. I literally stopped. I was like, I don't care where the ball is. I'm not doing anything.
and the whole crowd scattered into the grandstand.
So probably the crowd would have, we think, would have been doubled or tripled if the weather was nice and sunny. But unfortunately, wasn't the case. But we still got a great crowd down, and it's always such a good night.
Yeah, it was cool. It's cool. Every year when we do the run outs and there's just a sea of kids waiting for us, and it was cool early. Even an hour before the game, the grandstand started to fill out a little bit, and I don't know, it was just exciting. I think if the weather was a little bit better, we would have had more on that standing area on the far side. But I can't complain. People gave up their Saturday nights to come and watch a couple of boys have a kick.
Tell you what, that grandstand was loud. When there was something to choose, that was so loud. When Nida got the pill, so loud.
I think, did Trey miss one from directly in front at that end?
Yeah.
That would have ripped the roof off the joint if he slotted that.
Yeah.
I think he kicked most of his goals down the other end. He didn't time it well. He should have done it up.
Yeah, he kicked his only goal down the other end, does he? He kicked all these other points down the far end with the grandstand.
Just tease the crowd.
But no, I think the kids were good. They went down the other end to brave the weather and make sure that they got any stray goal possible. I think there was three times where the crowd jumped on the field, and one of them was for Cal Ferguson. And Trey comes up to the centre bounce after, and he's like, they're just doing this to do it, because I love Cal Ferguson, but they have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
And they're getting around him. And then I made a good joke to Matty Broadbent, and I said, do you reckon there's just one kid there that's going up to him saying, mate, I love that one innings.
Yeah.
back in 2014. So good.
Mate, there's someone out there that loves his test career.
And it's you.
And it's me. I should have run down the other end from full forward and got around Big Cal.
When they hopped on for the Phantom, I knew all was lost. I was like, we've lost control here.
Dossie, you've shaken some woes in these games. You have not before this year kicked a you have kicked one, but you've missed some absolute sitters.
Yeah.
I think the tale is you just haven't been near it most of the time, and you've struggled to find the pill in the bright lights. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's not to get too technical or too deep, but it's a fascinating game of football when you're playing these games. Like it doesn't feel like a normal game when you're out there. Like if you're in the midfield, it would, but you'll lead into certain areas, and on a weekend at Wattle Park, you get used every time. But in a charity match where it's a little bit more take the piss,
going long,
and people can take the game on a little bit more, and there's less risk, it'll go long. So then you'll stay deep, and people start chiseling them. So I like, not to get technical or deep, but I just find I'm in the wrong areas a lot of these games. I felt good early. I felt on the wing, a little link up with Tails and Prime. That'll be good for the clips, a little Prime train feature. We did a little 1-2, which was good. And then I went on the pine for 10 on the snooze.
He was not happy.
I was on the 40 wings bench for 10 minutes. And the only reason I wasn't happy was because I'd put a little bit of pressure to get into the game early, and I'm like, oh man, I really want to have a first quarter where I get 5, 6, 7 touches, and I'm away. And I think I had 2 or 3, and then I literally sat on the pine the rest of the quarter, and I was like, oh no, this is setting up for a bad.
I champed you a little bit on the bench.
Yeah.
I was like, he comes up to me and he's complaining about being on the bench. I'm like, oh well. And then I don't know what you thought, but
I think I sat down and I was just like, oh, I've got to compose myself and regroup. And then, I kicked a couple late. It's funny because some of the goals early, there was like a little bit of pressure. And in the first half, it was on for young and old. But in the third, I kick a goal. I think I fumble it at the 45 mark. I try and hit Tails in the goal square. It came off my shin, and I went, oh, no, it's come from my shin. And then just sort of dribbles in. I was like, oh, well, I'll take it. And then my last one, the guy grabbed me over the shoulder, but he didn't get me like around the neck, but I just got tackled like on the cuff of the shoulder. And then my head went back, and the commentators were saying I was soft, and then I bananaed it through. So I got on the board a couple of times, but still a tough game to get touches in, I think.
Yeah, well, I found it a little bit in the midfield. Luckily, I was in there to actually go and get it. But Tails kicked a really nice snag, and I didn't think, I think it was a bit of a token worst on ground, because I don't think whoever's on the voting panel, they don't want to give. There's voters fatigue massively. Year on year. They don't want to give the worst on ground medal to the same person every year, and it could have been the same person back to back. But Tails, you definitely weren't worst on ground, but you've got a token of that, and that's okay. But you kicked a really nice snag, really nice set shot actually.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's. I feel like a lot of the lowlights stand out clear to the normal viewer. I mean, there was a time I tried to get. I mean, throughout the season, the young Jared Davis, he's been palming off goals left, right, and centre. So I thought, well, it's time to give back. Time to give back to the community. So took a mark, saw Jarrah in the goal square, and I thought, Jarrah, I'm going to give it to you here, mate. I'm going to reverse the roles. And I've just got absolutely none of the footy, and I've pretty much said, kicking consultant, you can have the footy, mate. I don't want it anymore. You play on.
Jeez, the kicking consultant gave it a red hot crack on the weekend.
That handball was, Jarrah was perplexed. He was just, he was dumbfounded.
I really want to see what his stats were, because he did not want to go and find any football of his own. 0. He took every kick out. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
He did not find the footy for himself once, I don't reckon, in that game. I reckon 20 of his touches were from kick-outs.
Still got the footy though. You credit.
No. There's a big asterisk.
It was funny.
Big asterisk.
Every time I got near the ball, I was like wheeling and going, like I wanted to get it in quick. And every time Jared's like, Dossie, stop moving it quickly. I'm like, why? Like, and then he's like, I've got a new rule for you. If you take a mark, you're not allowed to play on. Because he wanted to slow it down.
How about shut up, Jared?
He was right, because our whole team was struggling to shuffle down the field and set up, but I just wanted to get into Will as quickly as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kicking consultant, he looked like prime Graham Birchall at
It
times.
So that whole first half, everyone was trying, like genuinely trying to make a good contest. But the kicking consultant put his boots on like it was the grand final of the AFL, and he was lining up.
You know what?
Oh,
To be fair
I
to
like
the
it.
man, he hasn't played a game of football in about 4 years. So he was just excited to get out there and have a crack.
Jeez, he's a gun.
Mate, launch a few torps and fucking launch him. He did.
He's a weapon, like genuine gun.
If he actually played like week in, week out, he'd still be very, very good. at
He could be making $1 grand a week down in the Ballarat.
He was
footy
so
league.
he was so natural.
So
Such a
natural.
natural footballer.
Got drafted for a reason, and that's all I'm saying.
Bloody oath he did.
For the SA team, I think I was only near Hamish Hartlett for a couple of contests, but he just bodied me a couple of times, and I was like, man, like, it's just funny. You're in the system for 12 years, and every day you're doing that. So to him, like, he sort of bodied me, and to him, it's nothing. But to me, it was like one of the hardest hits I've ever had in my life. And it was him just walking past, and I'm like, oh my God, like, there's just a different level to some of these blokes. Like, even if they've only been in the AFL for 2 or 3 years, like, they just walk around with a physicality that we don't have.
I'll tell you what, yeah.
Funniest thing ever was when Patrick Coupe tries to run past Hamish Hartlett. Hamish Hartlett sort of just grabs him with one hand and brings him to the ground, and then just gets him holding the ball. I'm like, well, what on earth could you expect, Coupe? Like, you're running past an ex-AFL midfielder who genuinely get 25 pieces every week. Like, what are we doing here?
To be fair to you, Will, my position on the ground all day was in the guts, genuinely playing in the midfield on Mitch Robinson. I started in the first centre bounce, and the people around, it was stacked. I was the only local footballer in there, obviously prime.
Fucking
the
how
Sheps.
big's he pumping up his tyres?
No,
mate?
I just want to
Gee
set the
whiz.
scene for you, mate. It's Bailey McCabe in a midfield with my teammates of Charlie Dixon in the ruck, Miles Shep prime train, against Mitch Robinson, Hamish Hartlett, Broadbent.
Yeah, but you're Dan Butler's brother-in-law, bro. You've got that experience.
I don't have that experience, Will. But I was hyping myself up all day. I knew I needed to tackle one of them early. I needed to get physical early, or else it was wraps for me the whole day. So in the first couple of minutes, I wrapped up Hamish Hartlett, and I got him in a really good tackle. He wasn't going anywhere. But the experience, he got his hands free and got a handball out somehow. And that felt like it was happening all day. Mitch Robinson called my tag on him the hardest tag in football. And he still somehow kicked 2 from outside the arc.
Well, you didn't tag him when he went up to the bar at half time.
No, I didn't.
He left the game.
He left the game at 3/4 time. And
There was a couple of almost nights for the South Australian boys. I think Andy Munro got close to kicking a couple of genuine, like, highlight snags. That dribbler that Jarrah poked the foot in and stopped.
I think he feels really bad about that,
Well,
actually.
he probably should have let that through. And then Mitch Grigg had like a 70-metre torp that he got onto, and Jarrah, I think it was Jarrah marked it like maybe over the line even.
Griggy, just fucking kick it harder, man.
Yeah.
You're the number 1 local footballer in SA. If you
Put a little bit more.
Yeah, you got to put a bit more mayo on it, mate. Like, geez, if Jarrah's marking it on the line, that's your own fault.
But the last person I thought had an almost 9.5 was Nida. Like, it got to the third quarter, and I'm like, I hope he gets one of these through the big six, because I think he went 0-5 before he kicked his first.
Mate.
But I was like, I want to see a Nida snag.
I'd love to see the stat sheet of the SA forward liners, because I'm pretty sure Nida went 2-5.
Yeah, he did.
Trey went 1-4. Cal Ferguson went 2-4. It was just,
They could have put us to the sword.
just disgusting. Disgusting display of forward craft.
Yeah, disgraceful display of football all around the park, but that's okay. Mitch Grigg is a tank. Like, he could be a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, he's just
He's
robust.
Still playing footy for quite a bit of cash. And
Yeah.
down at the raggies. So he's number 1 for a reason. But we can't be pumping up the tyres of all the big names without pumping up big Charlie Dixon.
Oh,
the
yeah.
one guy who kept the All Stars head above water.
And he was trying all day, churning it out there all day.
Didn't he conduct himself just so well all game?
day.
Like, it's funny. Like, we've done some content in and around the AFL for a few years, and I've done like fleeting passing things with Charlie before, and he hasn't been interested in it. And I sort of made up my mind about him, I was like, oh, this guy's like not big for his boots, but he clearly wasn't interested in media, and that's in the interactions I'd ever had with him. And I went down on the weekend. I was like a completely different person. Like I met a completely different person. He was so lovely. He was so nice. Not to say that he's ever been rude before, but he was just like, he had time for everyone. He loved Lenny. Like he was absolutely all for Lenny.
Love Vinny.
Came up to everyone in the rooms. Like, and I would assume that he wouldn't know much of us, just given that he doesn't love the media, and I assume he's not into his social media. But he came up and like, I don't know, the respect he had for everyone, and then the way he went about playing, it was just awesome. And like, it didn't go unnoticed for us. It was just such a thrill to play with a genuine star. Like he's a genuine star of the comp, and we got to run around with him.
I think, so cool. I think it's because like obviously he was the key forward at Port Adelaide. Like he's
for a decade.
He's got this perception that he's the one big tattooed, angry motherfucker who stands in the goal square and kicks all the big goals. So, I mean, during your career, fair enough if you're palming off all the scrawny little media kids who want to do a 60-second video with you. Because he did the same to Checkers and Shrey. Like when they were doing the Lockie Jones video last year, he sort of looked and was like, kids these days. And I sort of yelled at him like, "Oh, Dicko, you'll be next, mate." And he's like, "Mate, you'll be fucking dreaming." And then a year later, he's kicking about with us on fucking North.
It's just awesome. Like putting his pride aside, I did go, and I'm sure a couple of other people did, and just thanked him for coming out, and because he doesn't have to do that. Didn't get paid a dime, and really such a big attraction for the whole of what we were trying to achieve. So. Just a massive effort from Charlie Dixon.
Brought a Lambo to the game as well, which was hot, really hot. A green Lamborghini.
We didn't get in there.
No, we didn't get
invited in there.
Shout out to the Nissan X-Trail that I was driving all week.
Boys, we need to get off the Div 12 Ressies. We need to talk a little bit of football, AFL, and but we didn't watch too much. So unfortunately, there's only a couple of games we're really going to be covering, and we're going to start off with the Hawks versus Doggies tales. Your Doggies went down in a ball burster at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah, not sad, just a little bit like disappointed with what's come out of it. I mean, we now know as a football club that that's the standard for a top four side. Like Hawthorn, when they play 4 quarters of footy, can beat anyone on any given day.
It's funny how that we were talking last week about how all the conversation changes so quickly. And now it's changed again because the Hawks have gotten over the Doggies after 3 bad losses. Is it 3? Oh, not bad. They were all pretty close, but
and pretty like tough
good teams
contest as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like going back to last week, like we saw Collingwood just string together 4 quarters of footy and just put them off the park, whereas Hawthorn's bit back and answered to the Doggies and just blown them off the park as well, which was like it was great to see as a neutral fan. As a Doggies fan, it wasn't great to see, but I mean, yeah, just on the day the Doggies were pipped, and I mean
they'll be back.
Yeah, they'll be back for sure. They're only outside the 8 by a game, so they've still got a lot to do. And I think losing that game now is better than sort of
losing a couple down the track.
Yeah, losing it a few weeks later down the track.
Well, a couple of massive performances. Jack Ginnivan is on smoke at the moment. Like last week, kicked 2 or 3 and had 20.
Yeah, he's starting to get 20 in a few now.
Every week.
Yeah.
And showed the ball off and to the crowd and to the opposition.
What do you think about that? Because that caused, I don't know if it's just a slow week in the AFL media because, I don't know.
Because the Div 12 Ressies were playing. And
yeah, and we've seen people do that as they go into kick goals before, obviously. Cozzy did it to his future Freo teammates. He turned around and had a bit of a laugh. I think it was Brandon Walker or one of the Freo defenders. So we've seen it before, but the media straight away jumped on Jack Ginnivan. What do you feel about it?
That's Jack Ginnivan for you, I think. And
I loved it.
Yeah, you got to be yourself. If that's you.
I absolutely loved it. And like the play that I'm,
It's funny that you're supporting the oppo and you're like, I love this.
Yeah.
He's just running in up yours, Will.
yeah,
to your
the
team.
play that happened, like he fully deserved to celebrate.
Yeah,
that
he
play.
fucking did it himself.
Like he
Yeah.
got it from the wing. He got it from the wing and just blazed away and burnt every other
I agree, Will. That's
every
a
other
good,
bloke behind him.
it's a good
So
call.
you've got to, and like Collingwood's all about celebrating the little things. Like you can't run to Ginny while he's running and going, "Oh mate, that's fucking unreal." So he's got to celebrate like himself.
And he
In,
iced the game. Like,
Yeah.
iced the game. I saw the post-game interview with, was it Ed Richards, I think it might have been with, on 7. And Mitch Cleary was asking him some tough questions and asked him about that. And he flat batted it straight away. He got asked if it's disrespectful and all these things. Come on, Mitch. Come on, Mitch, I think.
But is it, it's fine to celebrate, but it almost becomes taunting, or it almost becomes like a bit of a negative.
It's so taunting. You're taunting your opposition in a game, in a physical game, and you've just iced it. Like, you've lost 3 in a row. Get your crowd up and about. I love it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it in the slightest.
if there's room,
I think it's silly that we're talking about it.
if there's room for verbal banter, there's room for stuff like that. I reckon.
Yeah.
Marbiel Charles said he wasn't a fan. I just wonder how the Hawks handle it, because they've seemed to be pretty good with Ginny over the last couple of years. But at times it feels like Sam Mitchell, not that I know, but it just feels like at times they pull him up when they have to. And he's obviously growing up in front of our eyes. He does less of this stuff than what he did back in the day. But I just think, I just wonder if the teammates aren't absolutely for it, will he have to change his actions?
We will see. We will see
I doubt he will. But
in due course.
There's not a chance.
I
he
think
will.
there's a couple of players in that team that are very, very similar that love that shit. So,
Yeah.
You gotta ride your form while you're hot. I reckon.
and you got to back your boys
Well,
in.
what I loved about it was he posted on Twitter and Insta, and he's like,
Why you say fuck me for?
Yeah, he's like, I'm just having fun. He's like, come on, guys. Like, there was like articles getting written about it, and he wrote, come on, guys, I'm just having a bit of a laugh. And then CJ was the top comment, and he goes, wouldn't have you any other way. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And I think that's how you got to be.
God forbid a bloke has fun at work. For fuck's sake. There he is.
A couple other notes I had on the game. Obviously, one of our boys, Sam Butler, on return, his first game in 430 days after a ankle, tib and fib break in the 2023 or 2024 preseason. So awesome to see him back. Had an amazing first quarter, like one of the all-time return first quarters. It was so good to see. Didn't do too much in the second, but he's back out in the park, did some really positive things in the midfield. That's the first time in his career he's had CBAs, and it was on return. So awesome to see Sammy. And Rory Lobb, I just want to touch on. I know he's been good in the last couple of weeks, and to start this season, he's had some really good moments, but he is grabbing everything. He's grabbing everything. How old is he, Will? Do you know?
Oh, somewhere in the 30s, but he's the best utility in the game. swung down forward, and he's still got it. Clunking him like it's going out of fashion, and mate, he's so good.
I love him.
He feels like he's like 31 or something. But
Doesn't feel like that, does it?
It feels like he's only just come onto the scene in the last couple of years, and he was one of the new waves of GWS players. So in my head, he doesn't feel like a Nick Haynes or Adam Kennedy, like one of the stalwarts. He feels like one of those newer waves, but it surprises me that he's just been around for so long.
Yeah, he was a bit nothing at Freo, and then he's come across to the Doggies, and we just sort of invited him to be a legend.
That keeps happening at Freo. Like Jesse Hogan was nothing at Freo.
Yeah.
They get lost at Freo.
Don't even get me started on Freo.
We're going to
mate.
play some hide and seek in Freo.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on, obviously, it's the Ball Magnets. The Ball Magnets podcast conglomerate. It's only 2 shows. So, but the Magnet of the Week, which we love. And maybe, it might be today, because obviously we know there's another game, the D's. But Max Holmes, which I think is a new one for the year. He's gone and had a 40-piece, which is
40?
great. He's had a 40-piece, Max Holmes.
What the hell?
And
What the hell?
what is he, 24, 25? He could be doing this for
I
5
don't-
years to come.
I get my ages wrong now that I'm pushing 30. I'd almost say he feels younger.
He might be younger.
I feel like it's only his 4th year.
he might be 23.
Should we?
He's probably 30.
Check it up,
Oh, I
Dave.
get
do
me
a
ages
stat-
wrong.
A stat
No,
check
I
of
think
this
I
one?
might have gone a little bit conservative on the latter end.
I reckon 23.
I reckon he's 23.
He might be 23.
I think you might have said
He's 22.
Oh,
Yeah, I knew he
He
was.
can still make the under 22 squad.
It's crazy. Yeah, he's a gun.
Oh, and his
Yeah.
heat map looks like a penis. His heat map looks
Do
like a
you show that
penis.
to the screen, Tails?
His heat map looks like a penis.
That is awesome.
That is crazy.
Now, that's the sort of stuff we like.
He's done that on purpose.
He's done that on purpose.
He knows where he was running. He knows his patterns.
Yeah.
The penis pattern. That's what they say down at
Yeah,
G-Town.
60% defensive, 40% offensive.
40% off. That's handy.
That's the penis package.
Well, down at the Cattery, they've obviously they're building something, and they've gotten over the Suns. Obviously, it was at home, but
But Tom Stewart's a sniper.
Tom Stewart's a
What's he done?
snippy.
That was a bit reckless.
But he's not going to get weeks, we don't think.
It's if he had got like,
No,
it was
he's been cleared, so he won't get any.
It was the perfect bump, but it is one where you come in with that force and you're a centimetre off the perfect bump. You're going to get 4 or 5 weeks, but he was a centimetre on and he nailed Anderson perfectly.
It's the perfect bump, but he's run past the footy.
Run past the footy,
So
opted
that's-
to bump. So
That leaves me scratching my head because the perfect bump, I feel like you're in play, you're both going for the footy.
Yeah.
You turn your hips and bang, you just fucking knock each other, and like you can then look at each other and just respect each other for the bump. But yeah,
I love the way Tom Stewart plays. He's hard but fair. He's gotten these wrong a couple of times across the
do
years.
you? I don't.
I love Tom Stewart.
I get a little bit of pride when I sort of love him.
No, I love Tommy Stewart. He's just because he's such a gun footballer, and I do think he's fair most of the time. And if you're a good footballer,
Yeah.
you're gonna get one wrong. It's just gonna happen.
You're playing out
Especially-
on a field where it's so physical. Every contest,
He's a backman.
It's going a million miles an hour.
Yeah.
But still on this one, I'm actually almost glad he didn't get suspended for it. But I wish there was more like this that didn't get suspended. There's a lot where they don't result in concussion, but then the MRO will give them 2 weeks because it could have. And this is one where it didn't result in concussion, and they're like, well, that's fine. And I don't know, I'd rather lean towards let's not just suspend everyone.
No, I agree. I don't.
But he's a sniper.
Fucking sniper, Tommy. Little asshole. No,
He's a hack. Cut that out. Cut that out.
Matt Rowell, I missed a bit of this game, but I assume he played.
rarely kicked a goal and had 24, which is pretty handy. You think he's going to the doggies?
No, I think he could have been playing on the weekend at the team he's going to end up at.
At the Cattery.
They just seem to get players all
For
the
fuck's
time.
sake.
Yeah.
If they get
If
Rowley,
they get Matty Rowell and fucking like Harley Reid,
I'll be honest though, boys. I don't think
quitting AFL.
I don't think Geelong is where Rowley would want to be playing football. I don't think the midfield group is his type of boys. I don't know if him and Bailey Smith are going to be having dinner at Bailey Smith's nice pad down there. I don't think they're the type of friends that are going to be connecting that way. So I don't think Geelong's going to be his place of stay.
There's no Cavalav for him in fucking G-Town.
No.
Mate, there's lammies.
You've got Lammies, you've got sailors,
Eastern
you've got
Beach.
captains, and that's about it.
Eastern Beach.
There's no
Eastern
sand at
Beach.
Eastern Beach. There's
Few
no
Ashes.
grass at
Few
Eastern
Ashes
Beach.
at
Actually, there is
Yeah.
some grass at Eastern Beach.
Yeah, the hills can do some hill sprints.
No, well, eating grass is what I was referring to.
Oh,
Really.
there's plenty of paddocks out that way. You could go to Jez's paddock and eat all his grass and do all that.
But it
shit
feels
over
like
there.
out of all those midfields, like it feels like it's the Pies, it's the Bulldogs, or it's the Cats. It doesn't seem like he's staying at the
Could be the
Suns.
Saints.
Well, that would be huge. But
Be good for us.
out of all those teams, Geelong need an inside bull.
What is Danger leave next year? And
But after Danger, who really wins it for him? Maybe Max Holmes.
the next fucking midfielder they poach from a good club.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've probably got 3 18-year-olds waiting in the wings. They've probably got 2 16-year-olds down at South Barwon.
That they hide from the draft.
So you just don't know. But the Cats got over the Suns by 24, which is going to be... That's a big game in the outlook of the whole year. The Cats go to 4th. Suns drop down to 5th. But both of those two teams are going to be fighting for top 4 spots by come end of year. So very exciting. But we did go to one game of footy this week, Crows Brisbane and Dossie. It was sold out when we tried to find tickets, and somehow you pulled some out of your ass.
Do I mention that this is a piece of the week?
This is your piece of the week.
Oh, well, my piece of the week was that I thought forward and I utilised some connections. And obviously for the Dip 12 game, we were over on Friday night. We were playing on the Saturday, and there was a couple of times across the weekend there was murmurings in the group that didn't really materialise. And one of the murmurings were, "Do we go the footy Friday night? Yeah, we'll go. Where we sit? Oh, I guess we'll just get general ad." And that was sort of the plan for a month lead in. And then everyone went to get tickets and it was sold out. And it was like, we probably should have had a little bit better organisation. Well, a couple of days before it was sold out, I saw the forecast and I thought, I'll go down to the hill for a little bit if the boys are there. But I've been to the Adelaide Oval 7 or 8 times and just looked into the back of people's heads on the hill. So I might have reached out to the Adelaide Footy Club and say, is there any chance for some seats? Specifically,
may you roll out the red carpet for Melbourne's finest.
Specifically seats. And they were just ridiculously accommodating. And it was a connection that I've done some work with before. And they said, yeah, like if you could chuck up some stories. So on Friday night, there was a couple of subtle, unbelievable venue, great seats. what a place to watch
Adelaide
footy.
Crows, how fucking good is this?
What a place to watch footy. And I got there with the intention to watch a half in the seats and admire the great stadium of Adelaide Oval and then come down and see the boys. And every time I was messaging Cook, I'm like, oh, I might pop down soon. He was like, don't. It's raining and I can't see a thing. Don't come down. So I came down at 3/4 time in the end, and the rain had stopped, and I actually had like the best.
It was good
so much fun.
down there, yeah.
And what was funny was up in the stands, like it was the perfect view, and I actually enjoyed like watching footy at Adelaide Oval for once. Like it was amazing, but it was freezing. But I came down to the hill, and it was warm because everyone's standing together.
There, yeah.
So I don't know. That was one of the funnest times I've had at Adelaide Oval. It was one of the best experiences. And for once, I got to see what it was like to watch a game from the seats.
Checkers board, him and Dan Allen, butter chickens. And then there's some bloke over there asking, can I have a bite of your Maxi Bond?
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Butter chicken at the football's it's a game changer.
That is a game changer. And I gave it a taste and it was unreal.
Warms the soul and warms the heart and the body.
What's your piece of the week, Tails?
My piece of the week is young Josh Worrell in the Adelaide backline.
Yeah.
Just seemed to be everywhere. Just they control V'd a few times and just control C, control V, copy and paste. There was about 20 bloody Josh Worrells down back.
Yeah.
He was just everywhere.
Man, speaking on that, I love the Crows backline. They're young backline. Michelini, Worrell, Hinge, Keane, Berry. They're going to be there for at least a half a decade, and that team's really coming into their own, and I love them.
Yeah, so from my seats, I could just see how they structured and the way that they set up. And
what was the structure?
Oh, it was phenomenal. I just think they play for each other. What I like was Keane.
Yeah.
He was like lipping blokes, and Worrell. Like they're becoming like a little bit confident in their own ability off the back of their performances, where they're starting to get a little bit of swagger, a little bit of toughness. That's what I like about the Crows. They're starting to mature as a backline.
Well, Tails, let's get the voice memo up. Let's send Joshy Worrell a little message and pump up their whole backline. Let's tell them that McCabe, McDonald and Taylor love what the back six are doing at the moment.
G'day, Joshy. Willie Boy here, mate. Just wanted to give you a massive shout out and say you are the piece of the week on the Monday Magnets. The display you put on Friday night was an absolute fucking clinic. Nothing short of it, mate. You and the back six were just everywhere. I was telling the boys it's a bit of a control C, control V job with you, mate. You were just looking so good out there. But glad you boys got the win in the end over the Lions. Hope you're recovering really well, mate, and all the best for the rest of the season, big fella.
We love your work, Joshy. Whatever that back six conglomerate is doing, we're loving it, mate. So just keep it going.
Get stuck into it, mate. Enjoy.
Joshy Worrell, what
Good
a
on
man.
you, Shaggers.
What a superstar.
When he first came into the league, Will, I got him mixed up with Dan Worrell from Melbourne Stars.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, because Dan Worrell played for SA for a little bit, or the Strikers. I thought he was like another Alex Keith style, trying to make a name for himself.
Gee whiz, I'd love to see Dan Worrell play a bit of footy.
Well,
He's just seen the.
What the hell?
So we might get a reply.
We might get a reply
on the
very
pod.
soon.
Well, just while we're waiting for it, my piece of the week is someone we've already touched on already today, but it's Rory Lobb. And I just love what he's been doing this year, taking all the clunks, really setting up that doggies back line. They're a little bit strapped for height back there at times. So I just love what he's doing. I love how he's, he cops a little bit of flack online and he still goes out and performs. So that's my piece of the week for Lobby. But back onto the Crows-Brizzy game just before we wrap up the pod. The Crows were down all day and they still found a way to win the game. Lockie Neal missed one to almost ice it, and he doesn't do that often.
I think Brisbane kicked 7 behinds in the last quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Gee, Zach Bailey was tanking. He started putting them all out on the full, and he's a classy footballer. It was so weird. I don't know. That was an un-Brisbane-like performance. They almost panicked.
He left one short. He kicked a few on the full. A few blokes were kicking points. I think we need to investigate the Brisbane Lions Football Club.
I reckon from our vantage point, which isn't the best on the hill. If I was up in the stands, I would have given you a better view of it. But Cal Archie's shot, I thought, looked like from where we were sitting. It looked good.
Yeah.
Looked like it was almost in. And the umpire, obviously, the camera work with the arc, Will was rinsing it. Saying, what are we doing?
The fucking arc needs some real hard look at themselves when they're trying to find out if the ball's past the back of the post by going in front of the post and zooming out to where Dossie was sitting in the fucking seats. It looked like Dossie's got his phone camera out and is filming it for the arc. Like, it's some of the worst, like, umpire assistance technology in any sports. And, like, there's so much... Oh, fuck me.
This is Taylor time.
There's so much, like... You see the VAR in EPL, high quality.
Yeah.
You see Hawkeye in cricket, Snicko in cricket. Hotspot is, like, awesome. And it's, like, it very rarely fails. The fucking arc is so shit. Like, we either need to back it in and, like, invest fuckloads of money in it or get rid of it. Like, at the end of the day, it's so bad. Like, there's no point in having the 2 cameras. Because what angle are we getting?
Yeah, the angles are poor.
What angle are we getting with that?
It should be better. It needs to be better.
Can we shoot a laser at the top of the goal post? And then if there's any laser on the ball, like we'll see the ball light up with green. Well, no. Or maybe we make the post. Let's just make the post 70 metres taller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd fix the...
Because then we'd know if it hit it.
All right, boys. Well, what a great ep.
Just before we wrap up, shout out to the shin boners. Got it done in Bunbury.
Jai Simpkin, sealer.
No, Cam Zerha.
Put him in front.
Cam Zerha.
And Simpkin late.
Yeah.
Tails, did we get a response?
We did.
What
We
the
got a
fudge?
response.
Is it a voice?
No, it's just a message.
That's okay.
But
Okay,
I'll
that's
read it
phenomenal.
We
out.
love you, Joshy.
So obviously we send him the voice message. He goes, "What an honour, lads. Appreciate the message. Hope you pulled all right from Saturday. It looked like it was pissing down. Red love heart."
Well done, Joshy.
Good
Really
on you,
appreciate that.
Joshy.
That's well done.
Awesome sauce, boys. Well, that is another ep of Monday Magnets down, dusted, and done.
Get it done, D's.
Yeah, go the
D's
go the
today.
doggies.
Who are you going with? You going with G Patasaurus?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yes.
She's been following you around all week.
Yeah, it's been good.
Cookinarkas?
Been reacquainted myself with her. No, Cook said he might be going. I'm not sure.
I don't know if I can be bothered, but geez, it's cold, it's wet in Melbourne. Let's go get back in bed, I reckon.
Oh my God, what a great idea. Same bed?
If you're
less.
if you're willing.
Same bed? Say
All right,
less.
thank you all for tuning in for another episode of Monday Magnets. Bit shorter this week, but we'll be back with another full-fledged ep next week. Thank you all. Well done, boys.